What's going on?
Hey, how you doing, sir? How you doing?
Doing great. Another beautiful day in paradise.
Most definitely. I'm sorry for the mix-up earlier. Evidently on different time zones.
Yeah, Florida's got a couple of them. I'm over here on the Panhandle near Alabama.
That's not bad. What you had going for the day? You start off a regular conversation. How's your day been?
Oh, it's been great. Woke up early, talked to my girl for a while, just did some exercise, got some breakfast, some coffee. Just getting ready for my day before work tonight.
Okay. Okay. What do you do for a living, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm a bartender whenever I'm not on stage. I've been pouring drinks my whole life. I go back to that. Just started that in college. It's good living. I like it.
Yes, sir. Cool. All right, I got a few questions for you, and you could go ahead and get it rolling if you want to. Go ahead and shout out where you're from, your page, what all you got going on. If you want to, go ahead and shout yourself out at the beginning,
Yeah.
so everybody can get to see who you are.
I'm Wise. I do solo hip hop on the side. I got a 7-piece reggae rock band. We mix in some blues and hip hop with that project as well. It's called Tribe Zion. I do a little stand up comedy on the side. And just like to perform any way I can get up on stage.
For sure. So, getting into your music or whatever, I went onto your page and I looked at a few things you had. I reached out to you. I got on TikTok maybe a few years ago or whatever, and started grinding or whatever. And I've seen you consistently since I've been on there. So when I went ahead and was thinking of starting up this series or whatever, you were one of the first people that I decided I should reach out to, just because I saw that you were already on the move and kind of doing your thing. So the Tribe Zion page, once again, that's why I was kind of, you know what I mean, saying your name Arlon or whatever, instead of just thinking of you as Tribe Zion. So the song,
Yeah, definitely.
Dear Lord, I want to talk about that song.
Yep.
It's kind of talking about drug abuse and alcohol abuse or whatever, your addiction to that, possibly. Would you like to get into that?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's one of my most important songs, to be honest with you. That song's been coming up a lot lately. I just actually shared a live performance of that song today. That song's been coming up a lot lately. I'm glad to hear that. I was an addict, a drug addict, and alcoholic for over 20 years. I was a criminal growing up. I was big into that lifestyle until, I was a Christian background, but I turned away from that for a long time and got really big into the drugs and alcohol and selling drugs and violence. And I went that route for a long time. And I finally turned it around. About the age of 30, I gave up crime and making a living off of crime. And then it took me about another 7 or 8 years to get my life together where I gave up drugs and alcohol. I do still smoke weed, though. I never gave that up. But that's one of the deals I made with God when I turned my life around. I was like, I can give up the drugs, I can give up the alcohol, but I still want to keep my weed around. And he didn't convict me about that. So it's my cheat code of staying sober. I'm a 6.5 years sober now. And it's been a real blessing. Yeah, that song was a real important one to me, though. It really said a lot of what I've been trying to say.
Okay. When you were saying in your youth that you were running into whatever issues, do you feel that was more of you maybe rebelling, or was it, do you have a reason? Have you ever reflected back on what was the thing that made you kind of take that path? Because I understand it as well in my life.
Yeah. I had a pretty rough upbringing, I grew up around a lot of violence, and I grew up around, a lot of addiction and mental health issues. And just, I grew up in North Louisiana, and there was a lot of bad stuff going on around me as a kid. So I think, but like I said, my mother provided a real religious background for me. So it was a little bit of that dark influence that was around me, and then rebelling against what I knew to be right. And then once I got into the addiction side of things, the drugs really took hold. And then so I felt like I got my foot in the door of crime so I could afford my own drug and alcohol addictions in my lifestyle. So to afford that lifestyle, I had to do more dirt and sell drugs and rob drug dealers or collect debts for other drug dealers, and just doing a lot of shady stuff to stay high, basically off of cocaine, methamphetamines, prescription pills, syrup. I got into all that stuff.
I'm most definitely understand the same thing, but more so for studio equipment and stuff like that, as far as leaning into the criminal area, because you don't really have a studio to go to, but are like, okay, well, evidently I need a microphone and I needed it, but I don't have a job. I have to get it some type of way. You know what I mean? And it kind of leaning into it that way. And then when you see what's going on in society, sometime of what's going on around you, you do feel that it's more acceptable. You know what I mean? And more understanding for you going through that route.
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely, my criminal lifestyle provided it to where I could be a full-time artist. For a long time, I didn't have a regular job. For like a decade, I didn't have a regular job. I just pursued music, and I could afford to do that because I was doing crime on the side. And I did always chase the music dream, whether I was legit or, you know, a criminal. I was always chasing that music dream. It was always a motivation.
There would be a question for me, somebody that lives in Maryland, and I don't necessarily live in Baltimore. I live in a more of a rural area of Maryland. There aren't just a lot of studios and stuff like that. So if you are younger and you're growing up and you have that drive for it, it seems less accessible. Maybe sometime when you hear Atlanta artists and stuff talk about it, or New York artists, they kind of have a nonchalant attitude when they speak about, oh, you know, such and such grew up in my projects and I saw him, but understanding that it's visible or more obtainable sometimes is usually the thing that they kind of take for granted.
Yeah.
So for being somebody in a more of a rural area and trying to get into music, what was that even like, trying to kind of make it happen? What was your strategy at the earlier stages?
Yeah, at the earlier stages, I grew up in the swamp in North Louisiana, outside of a city, in a very, very rural area, small town. So I definitely understand that. You know, I was blessed to meet up with some producers that took me under their wing and saw the raw talent in me as a young man. And so I got invited into places where, like, to be honest with you, I'd say 95% of my studio time I've been blessed with was working with producers for free. And they saw me struggling as a young man, so they would bring me on the wing. Hey, man, don't worry about the money. Just get in here and record. And then when I gave up hip hop for a long time, and then I finally came back to it during COVID. I gave it up and just focused on the live band thing, doing my band Tribe Zion for a long. We've been almost 20 years into this project. But when I came back to, I didn't have the studio equipment. I didn't know the right producers, so I found some online, and I took like a little cheap PreSonus or whatever, $300 setup, a home setup,
Yeah, yeah.
recorded all that with just a real basic setup. But then I would send my music off to producers in other parts of the United States to have them mix and master it until I found some local producers to work with. I was doing that where I was recording on very cheap equipment, but sending it off to people who could really put their touches on it.
It's funny you said that. That's literally the point that I've kind of gotten to with myself personally with the music now. Whereas the maybe because of COVID, and I would probably say that because even with information, you said something about personas, and that's the dog that I started on or whatever. But even at the start, it wasn't really just an influx of information that was out there for you to even look at compared to YouTube or anything like that. You couldn't just reach out there and be like, hey, how do I learn? How do I learn to mix? You know what I mean? For me personally, I know when I first started recording, it was just the excitement of hearing my voice
Oh,
and being able to play it outside of whatever setting I was recording in. And then you do get to the point where you're like, okay, my voice isn't necessarily sitting inside of the mix and stuff like that. So, like you were saying with the internet or whatever, being able to reach out to people and send your music out and stuff like that has most definitely made it to where as though nowadays, even the basement guy and the side room guy could even get it done. I feel like that was kind of missing before because I feel like I'm not sure what your age is, but I remember seeing studio sessions on like MTV and stuff like that. And a lot of time when they were having those studio sessions, you would never see the full process. You know what I
yeah, no,
mean? You see it record, and then you hear the song, and you're like, oh, that's all they did. And you're not like, okay, they sent it to a mix engineer, and then they sent it to somebody to master it outside of the mix engineer. Mixing is not mastering, and then
yeah.
taking it. Oh, what steps did you take to meeting people?
Yeah, I've been blessed with this band. Both, I feel like my projects kind of feed into each other sometimes. So with the Tribe Zion stuff, we've slimmed down. We used to do 150 shows a year around here. And so, you know, for the past 15 years doing that many shows, we've done thousands of shows in the area. So I've been blessed to meet a lot of artists and engineers and producers that way. So one of my main engineer right now, he's a DJ and a booking agent at one of the clubs I perform at. So he was booking my band and this and that. And then he heard I was into hip hop. He's like, hey man, I can DJ, I can mix, I can master, I can shoot video, I got a lot of stuff. So it kind of, my live band performances opened the doors to a lot of my hip hop recordings and videos. And before I got sober, I didn't have a single music video. I'd been wanting one my whole life, but all my budget went towards drugs and alcohol and strip clubs and partying every night and just living that life. So as soon as I got sober, I started focusing on that. And we have over 50 music videos now within 6.5 years. So I've been really investing into myself and my craft a lot more.
It's funny you said something about the live band. That was what my next question was going to be. I'm in an area where most definitely a lot of the clubs that we have, or the things that you would think of as far as performing, is or names like Cowboy Coast and stuff like that. So a lot of the time they're really only booking live bands. Would you advise for anybody that's doing music to try to get into doing covers?
Yeah, well, you know what? I started off my first 10 years in the game. It was all original music all the time. I never did any covers. And I know, I did notice that I wasn't booking as much as I'd like. So with this band Tribe Zion, we started incorporating covers. And at first I kind of fought that I only wanted to do original music. But as soon as we started, I'm big into reggae too. So I started doing some Bob Marley, some Sublime, a lot of my favorite reggae artists. And then we started covering hip hop songs like T.I., Eminem, Outkast, and doing live band versions of the music that I love. So it wasn't, I kind of had an issue thinking I was selling out at first to get more shows by playing these covers. But then I realized that now I enjoy doing some cover songs as much or more than some of my originals because we put our own twist on it. We do mashups where we mix different genres and different songs. And so I enjoy it.
And that's what I was about to, I was kind of wondering when I was listening to one of the covers that you were doing, and I thought that the kind of way that you were meshing it, and I was like, well, that's kind of smart, because at the end of the day, you are getting a chance to still get your style out there while doing whatever it is that you're doing that is familiar to people. It's kind of like back in the day with the mixtapes when you would use a familiar beat and just rap over it, because the familiarity kind of gets people out of the way of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? At first as a listener. But I thought that was kind of cool, and I didn't know if you did it as a strategic move.
Yeah, definitely.
But definitely thought that is a smart thing to do, where is doing covers and incorporating yourself into a live band.
Thank you. Yeah, we tried
that would
cover song, one original song, one cover song, one original song, one cover. We keep the audience's attention, but we also let them know we do have original content, we do have original music, but they keep off there, they can sing along. So it's just we found that strategy to really work with doing one and one. And then we do that for 4 hours a night. When I perform with my live band, we do 4-hour shows. So it gives us plenty of time to get lots of music out there. So yeah, I'm doing 20 cover songs throughout the night, but I'm also doing 20 original songs throughout the night as well.
And that's why I was kind of wondering, because I did see that you do go live a lot when you are performing.
Yes, sir.
I was like, man, he's doing a lot. I was like, he's knocking out a lot of shows, man.
Yeah,
where is he at? So that makes sense. That's intelligent.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. For your comedy, I have a question. You have the transparent joke, and it feels like it ends before it starts.
Yeah.
Do we have a follow-up for that joke?
I just started writing that when I got in a little trouble for my comedy recently. they try to, where I was working at, they try to kind of cancel me because I went a little too far. I've been trying, I feel like that was an edgy joke. Like people are like, what the hell is he gonna say? But then I ended with a kind of a dad joke vibe, where it wasn't offending anyone, but it seemed like it might. So I'm just trying to write a different style where I'm not writing as offensive as I used to, because I'm new to comedy. I've been doing hip hop and live band stuff for 25 years, but the comedy stuff I've only been doing for a few years. So I was going real nasty with my heroes are Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor and Cat Williams. So I had to reel it in a little bit on this last set that I just performed a couple weeks ago. I was trying to be like topics that we're all talking about right now, but not to go over the line as far as being offensive. I try to reel it in just a little bit.
Do you feel like it's hard finding a balance kind of between when you're being able to be openly raw in your music compared to when you're just starting the comedy journey, and I feel like maybe comedy has a little bit more visibility than the music does in the media space at the moment.
Yeah.
Having to tame it down, does that kind of bother you, kind of like it would as far as doing covers, or is
Yeah.
that kind of like a necessity for the up and coming comedian?
Yeah, definitely. I've dealt with it in both aspects, honestly. Like when I moved here I'm a Louisiana boy, born and raised, but I bounced around the country, Mississippi, Missouri, Colorado, and all of these places I was playing before Florida, it was bars, like 18 or 21 and up. I was saying the F word and doing really raunchy songs, doing Eminem songs, Superman, doing really sexual based songs and stuff like that. And then when I moved to Florida, they have family friendly bars. So when you go into a bar on the beach, even kids are allowed in there. So there's a 7-year-old dancing on the dance floor. And so I was still doing my regular shows, and I was cursing and doing the dirty songs and whatnot, because that's just what my performance had always been. So I had to learn back then, like 15 years ago when I first moved to Florida, I had to learn to tame it down, to take the heavy swear words out, to take the heavy sexual references out. Now when we do late night shows and it's only an adult crowd there, we go back into that stuff. So I really had to censor myself, and once again I felt like I was selling out with that stuff too. I was like, but I think to appeal for a mass audience, if you have to censor yourself or reel it in a little bit, then you might be doing yourself a favor to be on a more mass scale. So I did battle with that thoughts of I'm selling out by editing and censoring myself. But then I looked at it in a bigger perspective, that I'm making myself more acceptable to a mass audience.
Yeah. Even for myself with music, I found myself, before I was putting myself out there, kind of dealing with a lot of the old street mentalities or whatever, until you kind of get to the understanding of it's a relationship. You know what I mean? Your relationship with music or your relationship with comedy, any relationship, even in your household, it's a give and take. You know what I mean? There's a compromise that you have to do, especially if you want it to work. You know what I mean? If you want to be that guy that's the angry rapper or the angry comedian that always talking about how great your jokes are and you should be over somebody else, but then you're not making those compromises to put yourself out there, you kind of gotta, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You kind of gotta accept the place that you're sitting in, type deal. So I think it's more, it's smart. It's just, if this is what you're trying to be successful in, or at least make some type of living in, it's kind of what we have to do. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily selling out. You're not just changing the whole joke. You know what I mean? And then even with a Dave Chappelle, you're not just to that point yet. Exactly. Where though 500 people getting upset isn't going to affect your overall deal. What do we have here? Okay, on your journey so far, which platform do you feel has helped you out the most? Which one has been the most beneficial?
I have to, the one I get the most action on these days, believe it or not, is probably Facebook. Like I've got a great following on there and get a lot of love on there. But I run all the social medias for my comedy, for my AY's hip hop, for my Tribe Zion. So I probably got about a dozen pages I'm working with between YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, different groups and whatnot I'm running. But I've had some YouTube. I get a lot of nasty comments for some reason. Like I get a lot of haters on there, and I used to feed into that. I used to talk back to them and oh yeah, what so I grew out of that phase where I don't mess with that anymore. I do enjoy TikTok for the video editing stuff. Seems like they have a lot more editing options than Facebook or Instagram. But these days I'd have to say Facebook is where I'm getting the most love. I just had a video hit over 100 and something thousand views a couple weeks ago. I was doing we had a snowstorm in Florida, and I was doing snow angels, and it got thousands of likes and shares and comments and stuff like that. So I do get videos that take off on that platform still, but I'm still learning the ropes on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, and trying to get more traction on those platforms as well.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Did you think that your Facebook hits because you do the bar work and that's more of a local thing? Because I feel like a lot of the time with Facebook, the reach is usually, you have a better reach when you have a group, like an actual group, compared to TikTok when you're fishing, when you can shoot it out to a bar.
And that's lines in the water, like you are fishing. So I got that line. And even with my performances, I got my live band in the water. I got my solo stuff in the water. I got my comedy stuff in the water. I just like getting as many chances to be found or discovered or shared or promoted, it just increases the chances of being seen.
That's great. Next question. What are you listening to? What
Mm.
music are you listening to?
Uh,
Any
I,
genre?
I'm a hip hop fiend. You know, I do. Like I said, I love reggae. I love rock. I do have some my workout music. It goes from I was listening to heavier music like Falling in Reverse and stuff, but now I'm backing up my hip hop where I'm listening to a lot of Mac Miller, a lot of Russ, a lot of Kendrick. Joyner Lucas is one of my favorites. I've been listening to a lot of Christian rap lately. I enjoy a lot of that stuff. I find a new Christian artist every day.
Okay, Christian artists. As far as newer or older.
I've been listening to a lot of new guys. I've been discovering them left and right lately. But like I feel like I mean I was into Lecrae back in the day. That's kind of what got me into the Christian rap. I see what D1 is doing with the hip hop game and stuff. He's making some big moves right now, getting a lot of legends behind him. I just I enjoy the positive rap too. And like I said, I get on the grimy. I just bought I listen to a lot of grimy rap too, but I like the positive stuff. It's good for the soul, I feel like.
I would suggest if you like hip hop, old school hip hop. ETW. Uh, I think the album is Coming to Get You Out. It's a gospel hip hop group.
Oh, cool.
It was dope, dope. Even if you can't find that ETW Abstract Reality Skrillex mix.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I like some of those dubstep style mixes.
Yeah, it's not
Oh,
dubstep though. It's crazy. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Check it out though. Check it out. Positive
check
rap.
it out.
I'm most definitely what you want at. How much time do you feel that you're actually that you put into your social media within a week,
Mm.
respectively, between all of them?
I'd say it's like a part-time job, like maybe 20, 25 hours a week. I mean, I put some time into the video editing and cutting up clips and sharing, promoting for shows. I do. I used to put in a little more, but it kind of started overtaking my personal life, and I was neglecting spending time with my loved ones and working on my
Yeah.
actual music, social media so much. So I cut back a little bit, but I still put in a full part-time job's worth of hours a week.
Do you feel that you're at that perfect balance?
I don't
Like
feel like.
right now, whereas though I got my family life kind of handled, I got my so the things that I'm doing I could do comfortably at least, and I'm not stressing while I'm
Yeah,
doing them.
I feel like I'm in a much better place as far as balance. But I think I could always improve. Just trying to find that perfect balance of between my job, my personal life, exercise, working on music, working on comedy, social media. It's a full-time juggle, but I feel like I'm doing much better than I used to. But there's always room for improvement for sure. I just like taking. I gave up television recently, like about 6 months ago. I'm only giving up stuff. I've given up a lot of like sodas and tobacco, drugs, alcohol. I try to give up something as often as I can to free up more time because I realize time is so precious, and that if we make use of all the time we have in a day, there's actually a lot more time than we realize if we're really using that time and being responsible with it. It's such an important thing that we can't get back. So I've been really, and giving up TV was super hard. I used to love watching television shows and whatnot, documentaries and everything. But it's been really freeing of my time. So I have a lot more time to spare nowadays.
In the future, do you see you leveraging more of your time towards Tribe of Zion or towards your personal music? Because even when I did hear Dear Lord, I wasn't sure if they were playing or that was an instrumental.
No, that was an instrumental from one artist, Jay Patz. He produces for one of my favorite artists, Norman Sand. Norman Sand is just a genius, and we happen to share a producer on a lot of stuff. Jay Patz has made a lot of beats for me, and he's just a super talented producer. But I'll be honest with you, like I feel like Tribe Zion is 90% of my performances are Tribe Zion. Like I do over 100 Tribe Zion shows a year, and I probably only do 3 or 4 or 5 AY shows a year. and then 3 or 4 comedy shows a year. So Tribe Zion is more my performance project, but having 7 people come together in studios, getting all the opinions, all the different influences and all mix and master, it takes a really long time for us to produce a Tribe Zion album. But I can knock out AY left to right, music videos, I can knock them out left to right. So I'm releasing a lot more AY material, but I'm performing a lot more Tribe Zion shows. So it's kind of a give and take of each one. One of them's more productive this way, one of them's more productive that way.
Yeah. Uh, as soon as you said it, it started breaking it down. Honestly, it does. You know what I mean? It does make sense to think about it. Yeah, you're recording a live band compared to doing a 2-track or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough cookie.
Sure. I love both projects.
Or outside of you, are they doing any work? Or are they just a freelance band? Or do they have any ambitions outside of what you have going on with them?
Yeah. Everybody in my band has a different musical background. Like my drummer's got more of a punk metal background. My lead guitar player's got more of a psychedelic rock jam band folk background. My rhythm guitar's got a blues background from Muscle Shoals, Alabama. Played blues for longer than I've been alive. My saxophone player and bass player have more of a jazz and funk background. My bass player's got a degree in bass guitar, music theory. My percussionist, he's got kind of like me, a reggae and hip hop background. And then everybody's got their projects they do on the side. Like shout out to my video guy, Mr. Mad Love. He's got a project. He's using some of my guys are playing for his project as well. Some of the guys like my lead guitar player Dustin Mack does his own music. Izzy D, my percussion player, does his own music. So we've all got other projects, but Tribe Zion's where we put all of our main energy and our main focus, and then we all got stuff on the side. Like I got a project with the PA system. My DJ Tiny King, works with us, records our band, does my AY stuff too. So we have some people that are involved in both projects, and we kind of use it as one big family type of deal where we have a lot of talent. If you need to use this producer or this video guy or this guitar player or this drummer, we all just kind of commingle it and share our talents.
You got a nice unit, a nice team.
Yeah, I can't thank my team enough, because I don't play instruments very well. I dabble with all the instruments, but I'm not great at any of them. So without my team and producers and video guys and musicians, I'd be just a guy wanting to make music. So those guys are really where all the credits due, is to the team and making it all come together. I just got the ideas and the lyrics and the voice, but they really bring it together for me.
Sure. Well, honestly, man, I appreciate that you took your time out today to even get it with me.
Oh, yeah.
I don't necessarily have a name or anything going on, but once again, I saw what you were doing, and I feel that the mission that we're both on can kind of connect. You know what I mean? Possibly make something happen. Do you have anybody?
Excuse me.
No, you're fine. I was talking over you. What were you saying, sir?
I just love your questions and your perspective. It's refreshing. You got some really good stuff here. I like the way you see things and the things you had to ask.
Yeah. Hopefully we build a community of people that are, you know what I mean, pretty much just going on the same journey. I feel like a lot of the time you do hear about musicians, but it's usually from a successful angle or from you know what I mean, and not I'm working up and trying to make things happen, and this is how it kind of feels while you're trying to get things done. Letting people know you will have to give things up, you know what I mean, to make the things happen. Hey, if you know that your studio isn't quite where it needs to be, hey, you might have to give up a couple things so you can afford the studio time, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then even that if you're in the local areas, that you can reach out to people online that are available and willing to help you with decent services as well.
Yeah, sacrifice.
It was a great time.
Sure. I had to leave my family in North Louisiana. There wasn't much opportunity for my genre or my style and for what I was trying to do. So I had to sacrifice some time around my loved ones to get out here and, go around the United States, finding a perfect place for me where my music would do well and where I could find the right people to work with.
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything that you would like to add as far as shouting anybody out or anything like that?
Oh yeah,
anything coming up?
Oh yeah, man. I got about 10 songs, unreleased songs I've been working on behind the scenes coming out. We like to work in the winter time because in the spring and summer we're so busy with shows. So I like to get off in the fall and winter and just go and record, get a bunch of songs. I got some sick collabs coming up. I've collabed with some amazing artists. Head PE is one of them, a big metal rap rock guy. I got a song coming out with him. Me and my saxophone player, we do a lot of side hip hop on the side. I got some songs coming out with him. My roommate's got a couple tracks with me. He's got an amazing voice, singing some backup stuff for me. We got about 5 music videos about to drop. We got some really cool stuff, a lot of unreleased music and unreleased music videos coming out. And shout out to Industry, Curtis Industry. Shout out to Mr. Mad Love, my video guys. They've been working really hard behind the scenes. And the Tribes Lion crew, you know, they all put in a lot of work to make things happen.
Okay. When I get off of it, if you want to, you can send me any of their links to my IG. That way, when I repost this video to YouTube, they'll have everything displayed on there, and people could get up with them up there, like anything that you got going on.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
All right, that's great, man. I appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you, brother. It's a blessing.
You too.
One love.
Already.